Good morning. Where's Frankie? Frankie, where's my dog? Franklin! Sir Franklin! Good boy. Hi, handsome. You want to say hi? Look, say hi. Come on, jump, jump, jump. Good boy. Look at that boy. He's such a love bug when nobody's looking. Such a love bug when nobody's looking. He doesn't like getting out of bed in the morning before we have cuddle time. It's the cutest thing ever. Did I tell you they said that he was returned to the pound 3 times? The dog pound, animal shelter, humane society took him back. Or he was 1, dropped off, 2, returned after a good bad adoption, 3, another bad adoption. So I think whoever had him the first time, I don't know, maybe they were like getting rid of an unplanned pregnancy. I don't know. But after that, I think it's because he just won't quit chasing and killing. He's a hoodlum. Aren't you? Aren't you a hoodlum? Aren't you a hoodlum? Huh? Yeah, I have a little Apple thing on him, which I forgot to look at my phone app when he did the Great Escape, when the guy who was working under the house forgot to close the gate. So I'm going to go ahead and read today's reading. Today's the 3rd or 4th?
4th.
They got away from me. Okay. January 4th. The ingredients of friendship. A friend is one to whom you may pour out all the contents of your heart, chaff and grain together, knowing that the gentlest of hands will take and sift it, keep what is worth keeping, and with a breath of kindness blow the rest away. That's an Arabian proverb. This book likes to put these little ditties of actual, like, more like poetry to me before the actual reading. And I just don't agree with some of them. I think they're too kind, too soft, too sweet, because I think a real friend isn't always gentle. Just saying. If you have a sponsor or a counselor, if you need anything, let me know. A sponsor or a counselor needs to be able to be direct and build rapport, trust. I think that's something that a lot of people don't have is trust, that everything might turn out okay. All right, back to the reading. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Hi, Mama. How are you? Here's Molly. Molly, come here. Molly, say hi. Say hi. Frankie's gonna pretend he doesn't see her because he's looking out the window. Good girl. Okay. We expect 6 qualities from our friends. We want them to keep our confidences and share their loyalty, warmth, affection, supportiveness, and sense of humor. Is this what you bring to your best friend? Yourself? Do you stand up for yourself and never show contempt for yourself in public? Do you deal gently with your imperfections? Keep a sense of humor about your foibles. And with a breath of kindness, blow the rest away. You must become an expert You must become an expert in caring for your own precious life. You must finally give to yourself the quality of friendship you have been showering on others. Today, extend the gentle hand of friendship to the only person who can give you the winning life you deserve. Today's action plan. That's enough. It's a bird or a squirrel out there somewhere. Sorry. I'm sorry, I closed the curtain because that was a privilege I gave you if you were quiet. If you bark in my ear, one time you barked in my ear while I was filming, and I screamed at him. Today's action plan. I will be a friend to myself, a loving friend. My friendship will not be based on what my weight is, my addiction, my handicap, whatever, but on what my need is. That's pretty good. I like that. It's a good reminder. So a lot of times people will, hi baby, I got to put on some makeup. My day's got to get started and I can't do it with this going on. So some people, I really want to open that curtain. It's so sunny out, really crisp and cold. Holy cow. I used to do this, and I see people do it. And that is while they're having a conversation. Whenever it comes to even the slightest compliment, the smallest compliment, like, oh, your hair's so shiny today. What'd you do? It clogs the brain. On some people, they won't know what in the world to do with that. Because with childhood trauma and abandonment, there's so often a price tag that had been connected to compliments. So, for instance, I've had clients who their fathers are gone, and we're going to talk about females right now. And it can occur for men, but based on personality type, they process compliments a little different. They very often will shut down and get quiet. Or say something ridiculous. Like if you say, oh, what a nice job on your lawn, they'll go, what do you mean by that? Right? But sometimes they'll do like women do, just because it's a human thing, and they'll make excuses. Well, it's that new lawn stuff that I used, or they'll go on about how much work they put into it, or sometimes I'll turn red face and stutter and not know what to say, like, yeah, well, your hair's better, or, well, I like your lawn better. It is like the conversation that you kind of hope for doesn't get to happen. When kids are small, their dad is gone. A little girl so depends on her mom then to help validate who she is. That she's, usually the dad will validate that she's pretty and she's sweet and she's his little girl, his little princess. And mom will teach her the graces of being female. The skills, the trade, if you will, of being a female. But a mother who emotionally abandons her daughter she might not leave, but she might leave intermittently, leaving the kid with a babysitter who's not trustworthy, or even if they are trustworthy, the mom's not there to give what only a mother can give, or a father. The self-confidence that a little girl or kid needs in just simply being human. Parents don't recognize sometimes that. Now, there are some parents who do, but some parents don't recognize that they are the first god and goddess that their child will have. It's human instincts to look towards the stars. That's how the human race has advanced the way it is. And humans have a drive to improve on things, to make life easier, to explore, to have adventures. It's in their DNA. It's in the genetic makeup. So when the parent isn't there to do that with the child, and they hold that high position, the child feels rejected by God. God doesn't want to take the adventures with me. God doesn't think I'm worth it. Therefore, I'm not worthy. I know. It's a common. I see it a lot in my practice. I experienced it myself, so I know what it is. And sometimes a therapist has to build the trust that that client would have with a parent, which is hard to do, to be able to make true advancement in healing. That's my experience. Now, you can find some law, ethic, and rule related therapists by the ton, and they'll tell you, oh, you have to watch that connection. You don't want to get too close. You don't want to blur the lines. If you're scared to blur the lines, I don't think you should be in this business. You have to be brave. If you're going to keep someone from spending their whole entire life emotionally alone, then find a different job. Don't work in trauma. Work in something else. Because there are I can't tell you how many. I wish there were more of me, because a lot of clients will say, oh, God, I've been waiting my whole life for a therapist like you. Not that I'm the greatest therapist. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that for a kid who's been so abandoned, to be encouraged to open up and share where their heartache is, to be able to work on. You don't have to get in the nitty-gritty details. Trust me. Do not believe that. Therapists who try to talk you into going into all the nitty-gritty details are voyeurs. That's my opinion. There are occasions when talking about the details is helpful, but it's up to the client if they're ready. And it can be gently encouraged. But I think it's dangerous and can chase a client away. I've had clients say, I have to start over with another therapist. Why should I open up to you? I've heard that so many times. I'm like, you don't have to. I mean, heck, you can just come on here, bitch, moan, and complain. Don't get upset if I take notes, because sometimes something will stand out to me, and I don't want to interrupt your flow, so I'll just write it down and I'll ask you about it later. It's amazing how something little like that helps a child or a person feel that childhood connection where that's all they wanted from their first God and goddess is them to pay attention, to not cut them off, to not leave. And at the end of a session, it can be sometimes hard to transition from this connection that's building to, oh, another week without you, right? So I always leave it open for them to text or email or even call, but know that I'm not going to have my phone in the evenings or weekends, and I'll reply before that. If someone's actively suicidal, I only have 1, 2 at the most on my schedule at a time that is in that condition, and it's upon certain agreements on how we're going to go forward. So back to that connection. So as they're being engaged in therapy, even between sessions, and very often I'll encourage them to go to one of the support groups, Adult Children of Alcoholics, Codependents Anonymous, Al-Anon, or one of the chemical addiction recovery groups. So, or behavioral, but there's all these emotional groups that can be used. You know what? I use some moisturizer, a little castor oil and a little CeraVe or knockoff from Amazon on that, and mix it together. And then I put this on. I love this. It was only like $10. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to put any powder on today. So that can sometimes help. Go get him. Go find Molly. Go find. Neighbor's dog is barking. Go find Frankie. Good girl. Though my neighbor let her dog out, or she's had 2 smaller Great Danes. They're like twice as tall as Frankie, but they're still smaller for Great Danes. Oh my God, the sweetest things. I guess she told me they're rescues, but they'll run up and down the backyard fence, back and forth, back and forth. It's the cutest thing. So anyway, it's about finding key things that disturbs the soul. So when, for instance, here's just an example. When this woman's mother used to give her compliments and would be sweet to her and butter her up, it was usually a sign that about 4 things were about to happen. And each one created shame, guilt, because how could she be ashamed and embarrassed and hate what her mom was doing so much, that weird feeling, and still love her mom? That's a very twisted feeling. And then, how could my mom use me like that? So, compliments, let's see, what was the other thing? Oh, that her mom was probably going to leave for 2, 3, 4 days, nights. And depending on her age, and her siblings, there was a hierarchy of power in the house when mom wasn't there. So that had to be dealt with. Frankie! Come on, baby. Oh, sorry. Come on. Good boy. I was too loud. The spouse went in to take a nap. He's been working really hard lately. And here I am yelling. Gosh darn it. Sorry. I don't usually do that. But I'm excited because I've been feeling better and better over time. I don't know if I told you. So this company finally showed up. Yay, a company that can be reliable. And they're gonna come back next week. But they have already fixed the dryer vent under the house and a heating vent duct, that hose that had fallen. So last night I'm watching TV and I can actually feel the temperature being a normal temperature in that part of the house. And I could hear the vent expressing air. So I just thought that was so great. It felt good knowing. It feels, see, so when, and that's a perfect example. When people disappoint you and you've had trauma, it's not the same level of disappointment you get if you're normal, if you're in the average. When people disappoint you and you've had childhood trauma, it is so deep. It's not a little thing. It's not like, oh, they're just taking 3 months to do this job instead of 2.5, 3 weeks at the most. Oh, they keep saying they're going to show up and then they don't show up. They're lying. They're manipulating me. They're using me, especially when I have to pay them money, especially when I have to do all the chores my mom wants me to do. See, there's these connections of messages in the neural pathways that, no, a normal mama, don't be nasty. I know you don't like it. Jump up there then. Jump. Come on. Jump, mama. Jump. I'm not going to beg you. I got other stuff to do. It's okay, Frankie. She can be snobby. I know, baby. So it's interesting when we're doing our work to be able to get someone to open up and trust us. That's a key secret. And it's not to replace the parent. It's to be able to not cause more harm during therapy. Because sometimes what happens is when a client is sharing their deepest hurts, they can feel manipulated, controlled, tricked. So you have to have a level of, when you make a facial expression like, oh God, they're not ready to run because they feel judged. You have to be able to have a close enough relationship where they trust you that when you go, oh God, they're going to go, what do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah, I felt the same way, or, something like that. So it's very important. Mama, stop. Because that kind of connection, like if you're talking to your parent and they're a loving parent and you're able to say, Mom, this and this and this happened, and you're able to go, oh my God, that's awful. The kid is going to go, I know, right? In a healthy relationship. In an unhealthy relationship, the kid's going to go, well, what did I do wrong? I tried to do it right, in their head or out loud. Mama, stop. That's your brother. Oh, so anyway, how did I get on this subject? Oh, talking about friendships. So one of the things is, we're kind of getting there. Sorry, it's taking me so long. When you take someone who's been very injured in their most intimate relationship to their first God of their understanding, then when it comes to making friends, some people can actually be good at making very shallow friends. Very good at it. I mean, you can see some of these people who just glow with friendships, parties, activities, volunteer work. But when it comes to holidays, they're by themselves. When it comes to days off, unless they're helping somebody do something, they're by themselves. They look and sound like everything's fine, but they're by themselves. Humans were not designed to be by themselves. It's not a healthy way to live. It's just not. You can call it whatever you want. But it's not healthy. It's scary for people to be in too much isolation. That's true. I'm not doing powder except for experimenting with some little touch-ups here and there. And I'm only going to put on a little bit of blush because I'm just going to be here at home. And it's powder, and I don't want to have too much powder on. Yeah, with this air, so dry. So dry. And I love this goop. I just wish it were in a... I looked on their site. They just don't have one that is a color I trust. I mean, I don't know why it has to be this bold of a color. So I will put... What can I put on it? Well, I could just put a little makeup on it. Let's see if... That's a lot. Okay, so if there's going to be a New Year's resolution, you know what? It's just still so orange. I saw somebody wearing like just a beautiful pale orange on her. I've been watching the YouTube quite a bit and these little reels and oh my God, I've been crying so much lately. And of course, if I have a headache 3 days in a row, I think I have brain cancer. That's the truth. It's not that I don't realize I might be wrong. Maybe someday I would have it. But I'm starting finally at my age to go, it's okay. What if everything's going to be okay? So, I take pretty good care of myself. But anyway, I've been going through I think I got so worked up over that bathroom and these people in and out of the house that now I'm just kind of releasing emotion a little at a time on these reels, making me cry. These veterans where someone understands what they're going through and helps them, takes control of that veteran. It's like, I'm here. Pay attention to me. Oh my God. I was just like, oh yes, oh my God, that's diamond. Or, people being really grateful that they're being helped out on something. Anyway, I love that kind of stuff. You know, whenever I wear this, because it feels so good, I spend more time trying to adjust it. Like all that work, now I like this color. To me, that's a decent color. I don't know what to do. It's a lot of work being me. So maybe I'm getting Alzheimer's. I don't know. You know, they have people super focus on different things that can be wrong with us. All the YouTube information, all the WebMD information on the Google. I can tell you this. If you track over time how I behave, how I feel, how I have growth spurts instead of gradual growth, how sometimes I'll have a growth spurt, accidentally grow, maybe gradually, but all of a sudden it's a light bulb moment, aha moment. But then I'll very often, especially if it's a big growth spurt, big recognition of how to do things differently and my acceptance and willingness, very often I will have a rebound effect, which means I'll end up having a temper tantrum that basically denies any growth ever happened. Well, I don't have those so bad anymore. Matter of fact, I probably have one every, 3.5 years, 4. I've only had, even under all the stress, medical and emotional stress that I've had with the health of my spouse, I've probably had come to Jesus temper tantrum. Let's see, this is 2025, 6, 7, 8 years that I've been in Tennessee. I probably have had, I don't know, I've probably had 4 temper tantrums. So about every 2 years. They're usually spaced out pretty far. 2 years isn't bad, if you ask me. Oh, but I'm talking about, I stay calm most of the time, or a little worked up because I'm kind of dramatic anyway, just by personality. But I'm talking about a temper tantrum where I want to win and I'm mean and I'm foaming at the mouth, mad. But but it's been a lot less this last, I've grown up over time, over the decades, right? Getting my PMS under control when I was younger, going through menopause, going through overworking, going through one heartbreak after another with relationships because I'm terrible at them. For the most part, I help other people, but it's like, physician, heal yourself, for God's sakes. But, you do what you can do. Some good, some, like my grandmother, I don't remember a whole lot about her, except that my temper tantrum is very similar to hers, but she was a beautiful piano player. And I asked her one time, I said, well, why don't you play in concert halls? I was just a little girl. I just admired her so much. And she said, and she played in the local nightclub, but I just was so impressed with her that I thought she belonged at a grand what's it called? I had learned about it through, back then we only had 3 TV channels, but I remember the symphony playing, and they showed a pianist, and I was just so impressed. I didn't see her very often in my life. I didn't see my mom very often in my life. So, you know, this was pretty young. But I was in awe and of her beauty. She's the one that I think I got my hair texture from and my widow's peak, but I didn't get the color. She looked, I don't know where the widow's peak come from. I never really looked at ethnicity for widow's peak, but she looked native on one hand, Spanish on another. But shoot, just one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. I didn't get any color from her. I got the redhead, white pink skin like my father. When I was young, I had freckles. That didn't last long. It lasted till I was a young teenager, I guess. But anyway, so I'm thinking maybe I have Alzheimer's, but because I've just been so emotional. So when you look at Google and all those other things, they're always talking about WebMD, all the signs and symptoms of this or that. Signs and symptoms of this and that. Well, you could, if you put your hand over the top part, you could just, the signs and symptoms, you could just replace with almost everything that you could possibly look up. And now they're doing so much work on Alzheimer's, never been good with that word, that you would think everybody had it. I mean, I don't know. I just really think people need to slow their jets. A lot of people are talking too about different things that may be causing that. You know, years ago, people didn't get Alzheimer's. People born in the late 1800s, I mean, people that I'm familiar with, their work, their studies, their families, my family, you didn't get dementia. They called it senility back then, but you didn't get anything like that until you were in your 80s and 90s. That's when we've had one person in the family get dementia, and she was 89 maybe. I don't know, she was in her 80s. And they said that stress can cause that. Now, she had stress. I don't handle stress very well sometimes, as well as I'd like to. When I was younger, I was on cortisol fix from my overreactions to things constantly. So if anyone's going to get Alzheimer's from stress, you know, there are some of us who that's where it's going to come from. I was stressed, and everything was a small fire to put out at my house when there was activity. Otherwise, the activity was constant state of loneliness and fighting. You know, what's that sound in the night? Because if she came home in a pissy mood, it could mean you're getting yanked out of bed because you didn't polish the coffee table right. Yeah, that's a true story. Or you didn't finish that last load of laundry because you got distracted because you're just a, kid. So, that's stressful. I just, so there's all that. Sorry. Oh God. Of course, you want to be quiet, and of course that's when you're gonna make all this noise. Good gosh. Sorry. so much trouble. Okay, so I was going to do a live, like I started to tell you an hour ago, but I watched a couple reels that made me emotional, and the next thing I know is like, gosh, I'm wanting to cry. And so I let myself have some emotions. That's part of working through releasing the attachment to old trauma, or old stresses, old mourning, grief, whatever it is. Sometimes you just gotta cry. So I was doing some of that, but then I couldn't trust myself to not get on here and start telling a story and overreact. Because sometimes you want to tell a story, but it's not always productive to tell a story and cry all the way through it. Well, I'm just gonna chit-chat because I have nothing better to do. So if you don't have anything better to do, you can hang out with me. But as far as anything intelligent, probably not going to do a lot of that right now. Okay, so I was cleaning out. I did that Temu haul. Was that yesterday? Yeah. And if that bag works out the way I wanted to, that black one that I said I didn't know about, that kind of fabric is kind of noisy or whatever. I was looking at some of my Vera Bradley bags, and I was thinking, I have had those for so long and loved them so much because I just loved how you could pack a lot in them and you could just throw them on your shoulder and carry them around. But they're so old, they don't have a luggage strap on them. And they're so big, and this is why I quit carrying them. They're so big that I can't help but pack them, at least 2/3 full. And that 2/3 full of toiletries and clothing is heavy. Those are large bags. They're like half the size of a duffel bag. So they hold a lot. So they're just too heavy for me at my age. So this lighter bag, it's light, empty, and I don't trust it because of the fabric. And I was thinking, so I put some stuff in it. I stepped in it and pulled the straps up. I'm such a farm girl. I want to know if this is gonna work. So I unzip it all the way and I step in it and I pull the arms up and I'm wiggling it back and forth. So I had to wipe out the bottom in case I got it too dirty. But I decided I was able to clear off 2 shelves of old, one still has a price tag on it, old bags that I've had. 2 big Vera Bradley bags and 2 small duffel bags. Some people call them gym bags. I'm just thinking, you know what? I'm doing a pretty darn good job of getting rid of things and making more room, being more organized. I can tell you that. I'm kind of proud of myself. I always said that I could make do in a small home, just a little cabin on the side of town. Or I remember saying that. And then I kept getting bigger and bigger, nicer and nicer houses. And lost complete sight of having a small, manageable, affordable home. until now. So I realized I made so many financial decisions that just weren't so bright. But I wasn't raised to know how to handle finances. So I quit blaming myself for my financial mistakes. Matter of fact, with what little training I had, and I was so busy getting, a formal education in my field, that I just didn't learn about finances. Who was going to teach me? Not mom, not dad, not some stranger, not a friend. I didn't look like I needed financial guidance. And then when my stock broker, or I don't know, what do we want to call him? My investment manager told me, it'll be okay, leave your stocks alone. And I was like, you betrayed me. I tried to get a hold of you and you weren't around. I was so mad at him, I closed all my accounts. Instead of recognizing that if I closed my accounts, I could have, looking back, but then I didn't know, I could have transferred them with someone else. But I didn't understand that once you lost money didn't mean they couldn't build back up. I was physically sick when I lost all that money in the market. This is back in what, 89? No, 2008. Yeah. Yeah, 89 was a mess. 2008 was a bigger mess. I just didn't know. After that happened, I had a friend who I finally had like a breakdown over. I was physically sick for about 4 months. So we sat down and like had a heart-to-heart talk, like what's going on? And they just said, okay, this isn't to beat you up or make you feel bad. Let's sit down and talk about you ever doing this, making investments again. Because at the time I was still young enough to try to make up that money through working harder, longer. I had no idea that you could lose all that money and make it back if you just sat still. And that you didn't have to, there was no sense in checking if you're not a day trader, if you're not seriously trying to make money out of buying and selling, that you're just looking for long-term, low stress, I didn't know you could just put it in there and leave it the hell alone. I didn't know that. So, yeah. Learned a lot. Thank goodness. Thank goodness I had a friend finally help me with that. And I also had a dear, dear, dear friend lose so much that he became suicidal. Slowly over time, months, he was showing more and more signs of thinking about it. And at first, I was just being a sympathetic friend because he lost a lot. Oh my God, he lost a lot. He was I don't know all about what happened with his money situation. I didn't know him that well, but I did know that his business, his full-time job, had to do with realty. So it's where they go out in Portland, Oregon, was where I was living at the time. One of the things that they did was every time someone was going to buy a property or sell a property, I don't know which one, they sent somebody out, and that's what he did. I forgot what it's called. But they go out and look at the map, and then they track it with some kind of wheel instrument, and they measure it off again. They remeasure the property and re-evaluate where the, hey baby, where the lines are. And that was his job. That was his business. So business started falling off, and instead of letting go of some people, instead of curbing his lifestyle, he just kept living as is and kept spending money until there was no money in the account to pay his workers, the mortgage on the building he bought for his business, and then bottoming out on all of that, then he didn't have rent for his apartment, which a lot of us were in the process of deciding if we were going to buy or not, because they were turning our building into condos. I moved out of one that was selling because it was way too high when they were going to sell it, and I just wasn't convinced that I was ready to be a buyer, a property owner. Just wasn't convinced that it was going to be worth it, because I loved to travel. I didn't know where I was going to go next, so that just didn't seem to fit into my lifestyle, especially after losing all that money. Ouch, I just burnt myself. Ow, that hurt. At least I didn't get it on that alopecia spot completely. Good, good, good. Whee, that was hot. I don't use a curling iron a lot. When I was younger, I was always doing something with my hair. But now that I'm older, I was thinking about cutting some length off. I hate it when I have short hair, so I haven't done it yet. But once again, I've only done this a few times in my life, where I think about it and think, why not? Let's just do something different. But every time, I don't like it. After about 3 weeks, a month, I like it for like the first few days, the first couple weeks. But then I don't like my profile on it. I don't like it. But now that I'm older, I just wonder if, that there's a picture I have of an older woman about my age, and she has hair about this length, maybe a little longer, but when it's curly, it's really full and crazy looking. And I was thinking, why don't I do that? Because when it's shorter, it looks like it's on purpose. When it's long, it's easy to look like a witch. I don't know. So anyway, recently there was a conversation about feeling comfortable enough to share parts of our story. It took me a long time. Therapy took me a long time, working with others, to recognize that, you know what, there might be some people who don't like the way I tell my story, because I'm not a great storyteller. There might be some people who like, I don't relate to that, so why do I want to hear more of this crap? That's okay. We're all different. The thing is, I realized through watching and listening to other people that part of my goal in life is to be authentic, to be real. Oh, that hurts. I think I did get it right on my alopecia. That's why it hit so hard and scalded right on that spot. Oh, I'm so disappointed. I hope it didn't hurt my little baby hairs that are growing in. This cold ceramic feels good. So, I don't think anybody should rush into sharing what they're not ready for. Because, especially when we're on a public platform, because you never know who's going to see it. You never know what kind of little assholes out there that's going to say something stupid or rude. You never know what good, meaning, loving, supportive person might do voice to text and it comes out wrong. Or says a cuss word instead of a sweet word. Voice to text, I had to quit using that altogether for a long time, especially with clients, because I don't know what I was saying. I can't remember, but there was a word I was saying that was always coming off as an F word. And you know, I use that word, so I don't mind it. It's just, it's not appropriate for text messaging with professionals in a professional relationship. Sorry. Ow, my head hurts. I think I'm going to have to go spray it with something healing, like silver, liquid silver. Do you know I have this rose water and I have yet to use it? Maybe I'll use that. Got to be careful when you spray your hair after you just straighten it, because of getting it wet, which is dumb. Great. But I wanted to feel it. Okay, so. But I think for me, I'd almost rather share than not share. And take that risk. Because then I learn through the fear, the hurt, the awkwardness. One way or another, I learned something. On the other hand, when I was younger and was new at sharing and opening up, I was oversharing all over the place. So you do have to use your own wisdom. Figure it out, what your level of discomfort is. Because nobody knows that except you. Nobody knows that except you. Oh, shoot. I forgot about this. Oh. I've been wanting to use this too. Dang it. I hate wasting product. I'm going to put it in this little clear jar that I've been saving to reuse. I'm going to put some of my... Oh, I love this. Goop has this under your makeup. Chrissy sent me this. It's a sunscreen, but it also makes your skin so silky. Remember Mary Kay was one of the first companies decades ago that came out with something you could put on your face to make it just smooth. It fills in the pores. What else is in here that I haven't been using? Oh, this is going to go in that jar. I haven't been using my Ilia, and I love my Ilia. I'm going to set it out because I'm going to use it at some point. I've got a bunch of makeup in here that I like. Why am I making faces? I don't know. You know what I'm doing? I am putting off laundry. That's what's going on. Okay. Okay. I'm looking at my notes from yesterday. All right, I remember to tell you about the gate and my dog and me forgetting to use that Apple tracker that I have on his collar. Good grief. Look at my boy. You ready to go do laundry? He's been messing around so much. He's getting that. I keep sheets on my pretty bed to keep all this dog hair. How do they shed so much? I don't know. Try to cover up my little bald spot right there. All right. Love you guys. Share as you feel comfortable. Don't feel like you have to overshare. But know that you're safe with me. And if there's any mistakes that happen, someone makes a comment or someone doesn't comment, know that I will comment as soon as I can. Sometimes I'm better at it, and sometimes I get busy, sidetracked, and forget about it. People say, why didn't you answer my text? I'm like, you better give me 24 hours. If you're going to text me about something, at least give me 24 hours. But when it comes to emails, notifications like through YouTube, I usually don't get those until the next business day. And like some of my viewers participate through email if they really want my personal opinion about something, and then I will change the name to protect the innocent and I'll comment it on a video. I don't really like spending a lot of time typing because of my bursitis in my thumbs. I was holding on to something the other day, and the way my hand looked, I just thought, whose hand is that? So anyway, it's constantly inflamed because I'm constantly doing something, but I'm not going to complain because very functioning, very functionable. All right, y'all have a blessed day. Go do something fun, sweet, helpful, peaceful. All right, bye for now.